Welcome to the Uncanny Academy of X-Men lore. I'm Jared.
And I'm Lad.
And today, this is a topic that's actually from Lad's recommendation. So thank you, Lad. We're talking about the coolest mutant powers. In other words, the coolest and also not coolest superpowers that a mutant has had. Now, just want to review real quick. A mutant, the difference between a mutant and your regular Marvel superhero is that the mutant got their powers all through the same way. It's a genetic mutation, their DNA passed on from the father's DNA. In other words, through the conception process, I guess, if you will, the males, in addition to passing over an X chromosome, also sent over a crappy gene, and that's how you got like the X gene.
Cool.
So yeah, and I gotta say, reading through this list, yeah, the X-Men have had some pretty weird characters. All right, so getting started. And this is from comicbookreview.com. The genetic lottery, Marvel's 10 coolest mutant powers and its 10 worst. Getting a mutant power is luck of the draw. Sometimes you win the genetic lottery, and other times, not so much. Okay, so let's go. Number 20. This is a bad one. Omnilingual translation. What this means is that the mutant Cypher can translate any language.
Okay, that doesn't sound too bad.
He's the one who makes the Krakoan language that'll the X-Men use when they're on Krakoa.
Yeah, that doesn't seem too bad.
Doesn't seem too bad. Well, let's read their explanation. Being a mutant is definitely a mixed bag. Your powers are just likely to leave you deformed or hideous as they are to be incredibly awesome. But even worse than that would have to be getting a boring superpower, such as the fate of New Mutants Doug Ramsey. Ramsey was given the code name Cypher, had the ability to read and translate any language. That is actually not a boring superpower at all. I will wholly disagree with this one. You can make much use of this. Let me see. Admittedly, this is a pretty great gift, all things considered. Cypher found himself in possession of great intelligence and a world of knowledge at his fingertips. Unfortunately, from a story perspective, it bombs. Many stories had to find more for Ramsey to even need to use his powers to remain relevant. As such, Cypher met his end just a few years into New Mutants and would remain dead for years, aside from a bizarre Ramsey and Warlock hybrid named Douglock. That is weird. Revived in the 2010s. So he stretches his definition to find because he can do computer programming and body language. It's something he could do with ease.
That's actually really cool.
That is useful. What is this list talking about?
He could be like investigator, like crime scene, right? And they investigate suspects, or it'd be like a mutant ability, right?
Yeah, let me put it this way: if you're like an intelligence agency trying to collect intelligence on a foreign country, you can just have him on the phone and he'll translate everything. All right. Unfortunately, this power also turned to have the worst downside. A Cypher recently reemerged during the hunt for Wolverine, suffering from extreme internet addiction, having lost his mind trying to decipher the web. Okay, that is 100%. And this is before Hickman's X-Men run, so bear that in mind. Coolest energy plasmoids. Jubilee was the inadvertent poster child for the X-Men for a long time. Oh boy, this character. Her popularity on the animated series and her ties to Wolverine meant she showed up regularly, and her unique fireworks power made her an easy target for a flashy drawing or an impressively stylized shot. It also made her a target by many fans who ridiculed her as little more than a mall rat who had the ability to shoot balls of light.
What?
It doesn't help that she's typically portrayed as such throughout her comics history, but Jubilee's energy plasmoids might actually be the most potent of the X-Men arsenal. We'll read that in a second. She also became a vampire.
That's a cool power.
Yeah, that's cool. But I want to hear this list of fans shooting fireworks. The plasmoids aren't fireworks, but close to superheated plasma. She can create a bolt of bright light, and she can also push out enough power to bend steel or destroy a tree, and with precision can even detonate microbursts inside someone's brain. Useful! I take it back. However, it goes even beyond that, as Jubilee's former Generation X instructor, Emma Frost, once speculated that if wielded properly, Jubilee could detonate objects on a subatomic level. Oh, geez.
That'd be super cool.
This would create a devastating explosion on par with a fusion explosion, making Jubilee yet another incredibly powerful walking, talking nuclear bomb in the X-Men arsenal. Have you noticed that the X-Men have the most characters in the Marvel universe that could destroy the world?
Oh boy, yeah, I can see why they want to be regulated.
It's like Omega level mutant. Why isn't she classified as an Omega level mutant? Oh yeah,
Yeah,
well, because Omega level does not necessarily translate to just being the most powerful. What that translates to is there's no upper limit to how powerful they can get.
Oh, okay, I see.
Okay, worse, accelerated bone growth. This would be like Spike.
Oh.
Your bones are already a big pain in your life. True. They cause you incredible pain when you're growing up. True. And if you break one, it's possible you could never fully recover. But now imagine for a moment that they never stopped growing. Imagine that they kept growing out of your skin in an unpredictable fashion, such as the plight of the Morlock girl Sarah, who would later join the X-Men in the wake of Operation Zero Tolerance as Marrow. Okay, so the Morlocks were basically mutants that lived under New York City because their mutations made it so that they couldn't like fit in with normal society.
I see.
Okay, Marrow's powers was one of the most unusual and unsettling ones in the X-Men pantheon, albeit one that has made her a fan favorite for years. Yeah, the ones with the most like outward powers I've noticed are some of the like most popular characters.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Marrow's bones grew at an accelerated rate, jutting out of her skin uncontrollably. They did offer some advantages in that these bones were naturally incredibly dense and could either be formed into makeshift armor or broken off and used as weapons. That is so cool. The powers were unfortunately also wildly unpredictable, and worst of all, they hurt. Oh, yeah. But the bones jutting through the skin was painful enough. So you can imagine how it must feel to break them off. Yep. Take it back. This is pain.
That's painful.
There was also the odd secondary mutation of a second heart that made her body provide the energy needed to continue growing bones at an accelerated rate. So she has two hearts. That's actually kind of cool. Coolest. Molecular acceleration. This is number 17. Part of what makes Gambit one of the most popular and sensational X-Men characters is his unique and visually impressive mutant power. Gambit has molecular acceleration abilities, allowing him to convert the potential energy of an object and kinetically excite the molecules to the point where they explode on contact.
That's cool.
That's why whenever he touches something, it explodes inevitably.
Oh, that's cool. That's really cool.
This gives Gambit a limitless arsenal, with anything he can get his hands on becoming a deadly weapon. And it shows, too, complementing his fluid acrobatic combat style with a sense of improvisation that involves using anything at hand as a supercharged explosive weapon. Typically, he falls back on his old favorites, a deck of playing cards. So pretty much he has infinite grenades. It's pretty much Halo if you have infinite grenades.
Yeah, that's really sick. I love that.
Let's see. According to this, nobody's on brand more than Gambit, but the playing cards are as much a practical choice as they are a stylistic one. The playing cards are small enough to be charged very quickly, but hold a very potent blast on par with a hand grenade. There are seemingly no limits to what Gambit can charge up, so long as it isn't organic material. So he can't. So if he touches you, you're not going to explode.
Oh, okay. Has to be something more. Yeah.
And more inorganic. Yeah. As an added bonus of this ability, Gambit can charge an object rather than detonate it, allowing him to supercharge his trademark bow staff with devastating effectiveness. So in other words, he can walk down the mall and do that Shazam scene. Your phone's charged, and your phone's charged, and your phone's charged.
Yeah,
that's actually really cool. I know he could do. Actually, I knew he could do any other object because that happened in the X-Men animated series.
Mm-hmm.
Worst, telepathy. Ooh, let's hear him defend that. Telepathy is the go-to superpower that a lot of fans want. Right up there with flight and invisibility. Fans think about how great it would be to have the ability to read minds. It's a fair desire too. Just starting out, being able to read anyone's mind at any time opens you up to a world of possibilities. And there are a host of benefits as well. Most telepaths are able to control an individual's actions by planting suggestions and even hide by planting a suggestion that they aren't really there. But then you have to really think about what being a telepath actually means. Most telepaths are depicted as experiencing crippling headaches as their powers develop. So you start off your new role as a telepath powerhouse in incredible pain. On top of this, there's always a long, arduous process of learning, trying to use your powers. Many telepaths have long periods where they're unable to control their powers, opening them up to hearing the thoughts of everyone, whether they want to or not. This is what Superman ran into a lot when he was growing up and he had the hearing.
Yeah.
But also occasionally, Emma Frost experiences that a lot. And there are times when she'll legit go into diamond form to take a break, because when she's in diamond form, her telepathic powers shut off. So in other words, she does that to like take a break from hearing everyone's thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
So let's see. Let's see what else. The powers are often proving fatal on a number of occasions, with an accidental psychic backlash killing someone or rewriting their brain so they're a blank slate. Being a telepath sounds like a lot of fun on paper, but in practice, it may be the worst worst power a god could have. I agree with that.
Yeah, I could see that.
Weather manipulation. This is number 15. Storm has been a stand-up member of the X-Men for decades now, and her ability to control the weather is one of the most impressive powers around. Hailing from a tribe in Kenya, Storm's powers manifested when she was perceived to be a goddess. She would live among the tribe as their worship goddess until Charles Xavier arrived and explained to her the true nature of her abilities to control the weather at will. Under Xavier's tutelage, Storm mastered her control over the weather in an impressive way, becoming one of those prominent X-Men members and a respected leader for many years. Like a couple of times she led the X-Men.
Oh.
She's an Omega level, which meaning that as long as as she's outside, there's no limit to what she could create a Category 5 hurricane with a snap of her fingers.
That's awesome.
Technically speaking, Storm's powers consist of control over an atomic level of weather elements in her surroundings, powers which extend to the weather even on off-world planets. Storm has demonstrated the ability to change temperature and climate, causing rain and generating lightning clouds, as well as the ability to create weather-related phenomena such as tornadoes and hurricanes. She also has precise control over the weather, in the past manipulating the air to suffocate or even increase air pressure to throw off an opponent's balance. The weather manipulation power that has a long-running joke about the effectiveness of the powers at a picnic, but undermining those abilities would be a grave mistake. Yeah, exactly. You can control the freaking weather, bro. Imagine that.
Yeah, that is pretty OP.
Yeah, and once again, Omega level mutant. All right. Worse, transitional omnimorph, and this is the mutant Husk. Okay, so the Girthies are a mutant dynasty. Eldest son Sam could create a blast field that launched him at superhuman speeds, earning him the name Cannonball and a respected position as one of the original New Mutants, and later as an Avenger. Yeah, so I think Cannonball was in the New Mutants movie.
Oh, okay.
Joshua Girthy had wings and a voice that could hypnotize, which he utilized through his music. Melody Girthy has the ability to soar on airwaves, so pretty much she's Banshee. Among all these unique abilities that gifted flight and hypnotism, Paige Girthy discovered she had the uncanny ability to rip off her skin at will, revealing a variety of different bodily compositions underneath. This is terrifying. There's the picture right there.
That's horrifying.
Underneath her skin, her body can take the form of numerous natural materials, ranging from wood to diamond or even glass. Paige, who would become known as Husk, is a transitional omnimorph. This was originally completely random, although training with the X-Men would eventually grant her a level of control over the form she chose. She has a host of secondary mutations to benefit this one, including buffs to her strength and speed, or form-specific ones, such as increased elasticity when she has a rubber form, or the ability to project fire when in magma form. Unfortunately, this is a pretty disgusting and unsettling mutant power. Also came with a secondary mutation that results in mental instability, sending Paige into deep depression and causing her to molt. Oh, geez. She molts.
Yikes.
Coolest, intangibility. Yes, this is very cool.
Yes, that's a cool ability.
Think about how much time you would save if you're able to walk through walls instead of having to open doors. Exactly.
Mhm.
A few of the X-Men are lucky enough to be granted intangibility powers, allowing them to phase through solid objects. Longtime member and current X-Men leader Kitty Pryde, aka Shadowcat, has been one of the most prevalent mutants to use such an ability. Kitty's often seen passing through walls, ceilings, floors, any solid object to get around, or whether it's moving into position to combat a dangerous enemy or just trying to get to the kitchen at the X Mansion. She did a cameo in the very first X-Men movie.
Really?
When Wolverine first shows up and he first meets Professor Xavier, he walks into Professor Xavier's office and he's in the middle of a class, right? So as the students leave, one of them forgets her books, grabs them, and then walks through a wall. That was Kitty Pryde.
That's cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah, and currently in the Hickman run, she's the leader of a group called the Marauders, which are basically mutant Pirates of the Caribbean. So, but yeah, lad, imagine going to class and you wouldn't have to like go through any doors or anything. You can just phase through the door.
I mean, it's definitely a useful tactic, I would say.
Yeah. Kitty's intangibility isn't just about what she can get around, though. It's a wealth of offensive capabilities. By phasing through an electronic object, she can cause the circuitry to short out and is resistant to psychic attacks when intangible. Perhaps most terrifying has been her tactical use of the ability to go solid, threatening to solidify her arms while they're inside the body of an opponent. Kitty has had the ability to make other objects go intangible, phasing objects such as the giant world-destroying bullet to allow it to pass through the entire planet unharmed. Impressively, when Kitty phased the giant bullet and was trapped in her intangible form for years, it was revealed that she had survived inside without eating, drinking, or sleeping. All right, so a couple of explanations. So with the whole phasing through a giant bullet, so what had happened was, this was in Joss Whedon's X-Men run. So there was this threat to Earth where they were going to fire what is a giant bullet at the Earth. It would have destroyed the planet. So Kitty Pryde hopped in it, but discovered that like because of radiation and everything, her powers were like going haywire, and she was having trouble like standing up and such. So she actually touched it and then phased it through the entire planet.
Yeah.
Also, so a couple of years ago, the X-Men did a storyline where Jean Grey came back to Earth as the Phoenix. It was actually just the Phoenix came back and sought after Jean Grey, but instead, so it went into Emma Frost. Now, they did a what if where Emma Frost had stayed the Phoenix and she was going to kill everyone. So Kitty Pryde put her hand through Emma's chest and killed her by grabbing her heart through her chest.
Man, that's like scary.
Yeah. All right, worst, sentient digestive system.
Huh?
I kid you not, this is a mutant power. All right. The X-Men have had their fair share of strange creatures with strange powers. Transparent skin, bird-like features, or even excessive amounts of skin. But these are all pale in comparison to the mutant powers of South African X-Men Japheth, who would come to be known as Maggot. Maggot has a sentient digestive system in the form of two bizarre slug creatures that lived in his abdomen, functioning as his stomach. Maggot would release these slugs several times a day to absorb food, which he required to survive, but would also provide him with an increased strength and durability. All right. This bizarre power seemed to rob Maggot of a lot of simple pleasures in life. He spent most of his childhood in crippling pain, with doctors attributing the bizarre slug creatures to cancer, until Magneto forcibly removed them from his body. Maggot himself couldn't eat, and he had no stomach, relying entirely on the slugs for sustenance. It also had the side effect of turning his skin blue and deforming his musculature to hideous, overblown proportions at his peak power. Maggot had more than a fair share of benefits, including the ability to absorb the memories of anyone the slugs would consume. But it still doesn't change the fact that his mutant power was an external stomach in the form of giant techno-organic slugs. Look at this. That's what this is, lad.
Man. That's definitely a weirder one.
Mm-hmm. Shape-shifting. This is cool. This is number 11.
That's super cool.
How cool would it be to just change your appearance on a daily basis? Shapeshifters are commonplace among the X-Men, though perhaps none more so than the classic villain Mystique. With the ability to shapeshift into any form at will, Mystique becomes the ultimate assassin and spy of the Marvel Universe. Feared by virtually everyone she comes across, her shapeshifting is among the most potent in the Marvel Universe. And recent enhancements following a resurrection by the Hand would have made her so gifted that she could even disguise herself from an acute hunter such as Wolverine. Because what traditionally happens, Wolverine can smell her.
Oh, okay.
In the X-Men movie, the first one, what they played off is that Mystique tried to sneak up on Wolverine as Storm, but Wolverine was able to smell that it wasn't her.
Okay, that's cool. That's like definitely like a good like weakness.
So this also yeah. So according to this, she got enhancements to be able to hide from that. Mystique shapeshifting allows her to shift her organs and also mimic different materials and textures. Shapeshifting typically comes with a host of secondary mutations as well. Plenty of other mutant shapeshifters have appeared over the years, each with their own unique twist on the ability. Morph of the Exiles, for example, has the malleability power, which gives him the ability to shapeshift, though he uses power more to change his body than to assume other forms. Morph was the one from the X-Men animated series that died in the first episode, but then came back later.
Oh, okay. I guess I haven't seen that.
He's the meme that's like, morph!
I think I've seen that.
These abilities offer their users enhanced durability as well, a side effect of their mutant's ability to change shapes. Shapeshifters will also typically have reduced or altogether stopped aging, with Mystique easily being over 100 years old. Yep. So you can imagine, she's immortal, bro.
Yeah.
All right. Jeez.
Oh, sweet. Okay. Here we go.
All right. Number 10, worst, acid vomit. And this character was in Deadpool 2.
Really?
Yeah. Peter Milligan and Mike Aldred dramatically reworked the X-Force concept when they took over the title in 2001. Introduced a host of bizarre and terrifying mutants. Acidic sweat enhanced its sensitivity so strong that they couldn't function without a special suit, and enlarged fat deposits are just the beginning of a number of powers which define the strangest team of the mutants ever assembled. But even stranger was the power side of one-time leader Zeitgeist, who died in the team's first appearance. He had the ability to spew acidic vomit. Lad, did you see Deadpool 2?
I didn't. No, I only saw the first one.
All right, well, yeah, he's in this. His power is every bit as terrible as it sounds. It's an efficient power, all things considered, shown to be capable of melting through thick steel, but obviously ruins Zeitgeist's life. For starters, he could only spew the vomit as far as a normal human could, so his range was pretty ineffective. He also couldn't control the acidic flow from his mouth, and was such always had to wear a special mouthpiece so that he wouldn't melt someone's face off just by talking to them.
This is great.
Yeah, I know. Zeitgeist died as something of a joke in his first appearance, though he had a legacy through the remaining X-Force run and remained popular enough with fans to earn an appearance in Deadpool 2. Yeah, he's a really interesting one. All right, coolest, sanguine combustion. This is a cool one. I've heard of this.
What is this?
Sanguine combustion could be one of the coolest powers to exist in the Marvel Universe. By exposing the blood to higher than normal levels of oxygen, Adam X has the ability to spark ignition in the blood, burning his opponents from the inside out. He can light your freaking blood on fire.
That's scary.
That is so cool. And my camera froze, but don't worry about that. But yeah, he has the ability to light your blood on fire.
That's intense. So I wonder,
imagine that.
Man, I feel like that's a little OP.
Yes, just imagine that. All right. There are definitely a lot. Okay, so ability to spark ignition in the blood. Okay. The ability proved incredibly effective when fighting Eric the Red alongside the second Captain Marvel, Genesis Vell. A small nick on the shoulder of Eric the Red was enough for Atomax to explode him from the inside out, detonating his ship along with him. Yeah, as long as there is any blood exposed to the air, Atomax can light your blood on fire.
So doesn't he just need to scratch someone then he can defeat them, I guess.
So in other words, all he needs is a knife. So give him knife training, and then he just slices someone, and then boom, blows up.
All good.
Woo! There are definitely a lot of drawbacks behind this power, though. As previously mentioned, the blood has to be exposed to oxygen in order for the trick to work. Atomax worked around this by wearing a suit covered in razor-sharp blades and carrying a pair of sharp swords. There you go. He fought with a style built around cutting his opponents, opening up wounds, and allowing him to strike with his powers. It also doesn't counteract the existing powers of a target. When facing a Juggernaut enhanced with the powers of the Serpent of Fear itself, Atomax was able to ignite Juggernaut's blood, but it only turned him into an unstoppable enemy who was able to light anything he touched on fire. Can you imagine if he did this to Wolverine?
I wonder,
Deadpool?
would he be able to regenerate fast enough?
Deadpool would. Wolverine, okay. You see, I think Wolverine would be able to, but it would be so cool. Can you imagine he lights Wolverine's blood on fire, but it's like his healing factor goes into overdrive and he's just fine.
That'd be intense.
Right. Here's another one. Imperceptibility. All right. Imagine living your life in a perpetual clean slate. No matter who you talk to, no matter what you do, the second you're out of sight, you're literally written out of existence.
I feel like that's actually bad. Yeah.
Videos erase themselves. Conversations are forgotten. You exist in a state of being where you simply are not. This is the curse of Forget-Me-Not, one of the most peculiar and obscure X-Men characters. Jeez. Forget-Me-Not is a living Schrodinger's cat, except he can never truly be viewed. Oh my gosh. Once you take your eyes off him, even for a second, you completely forgot he ever existed. Jeez, imagine that.
Pretty sad.
It's a plague for Forget-Me-Not. He thought he had a workaround when Professor X created a psychic arm clock that will remind him once an hour of Forget-Me-Not's existence. So in other words, Professor Xavier had an Apple Watch that will remind him, by the way, Forget-Me-Not exists.
This is like definitely weird.
Yeah. But when Xavier died, so too did anyone who remembered he was alive. And an attempt to have this power removed by Omega and Mimic proved troublesome when they realized he would have no identity as a person or legally once he lost his power. Still, Forget-Me-Not proved a loyal X-Man, retroactively written into several classic storylines, but explained away as simply being forgotten. In other words, he could have showed up in Dark Phoenix, and then as soon as he walks away, everyone forgets he was ever there.
That's actually really funny.
Conceivably, he could commit any crime.
Yeah.
He could literally rob a bank because guess what would happen? Everyone would forget it happened.
Man.
Jeez. Still, he would return for a 2014 run on X-Force, where it was revealed that Phantom X engineer brain could remember him, but he was notably absent from X-Men titles ever since. Phantom X is basically, think of him as a mutant Deadpool, except he's Canadian. Actually, no, he's French and he uses guns. So kind of like Deadpool. Coolest, teleportation. I will agree with this.
Teleportation is fun.
Traffic is the worst. You just need to get from point A to point B as quickly as possible, and you can't do it because you're busy dealing with everyone else who's in your way. Imagine Florida traffic, but you can teleport.
Yeah.
I'd get to school in like 5 minutes. Done.
Oh,
fortunately, the mutant race. So
awesome.
Yeah. Fortunately, the mutant race has a pretty quick way around this. Teleportation. The various X-Men teams and their villains counterparts have relied on teleporters for as long as they've been around. The most notable of which, Nightcrawler, joined up with the team as a member of the all-new, all-different X-Men. And I mean the all-new, all-different from when Wolverine first joined the X-Men, not the bad time when Marvel tried to replace all their characters. Since then, Kurt has been regarded as something as a teleporting guru. Teleportation is pretty straightforward as far as powers go. Kurt's able to teleport in any direction within a few miles, though he does have to travel through a terrifying hell dimension in order to do so. That's how it works. Though there are other teleporters in the X-Men's repertoire, though they use different means of teleportation to do so. Both Pixie and Magic have been primary means of teleportation for various teams using magic devices and spells to do so. So Magic can teleport because she opens up those portals to Limbo. And Pixie, she's a character. She's a really interesting mutant character. I'll be right back. I'm going to get a book that has her in it. All right. So once again, those of you that know me know one of my favorite X-Men storylines is Second Coming, because because what it does is it has this group that systematically goes to war with the X-Men. But anyway, so this is Pixie. Hang on, I'm trying to get a good picture of her. She is the pink-haired one holding the sword.
Oh, nice.
She actually looks like a fairy, hence her nickname.
That's pretty sick. So, okay, so with that teleporting powers and everything like that, why I feel like they can. What do the X-Men even need the Black Jet or the Blackwing?
Yes. Two reasons. I think like it could be more than two. But yeah. Number one, he can only go within a few miles, and it taxes him severely. Even when he brings a lot of people, Kurt gets tired really fast.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And fair. Second off, he can only teleport. I'm not sure if they're going to mention it, into a place he actually has eye contact with. In other words, he can't teleport, like he can't be outside my house and teleport inside my house unless he's looking through a window. Because otherwise, he could materialize in a wall and die.
I see. Okay, so you need to actually be visual contact with the place to teleport to it.
In other words,
there's a bionicle mass power that's that exact same thing.
Really?
You can only teleport, but you have to be in visual range of the place.
Wow, that's great. I'm trying to say, was it any of the Toa from the movies that had that?
No, it was definitely a side character that.
Okay. All right. So most impressively though, we Blink of Exiles and Age of Apocalypse with the ability to generate teleportation warps in the form of glowing crystal shards that open portals. She's been able to teleport as far as the moon with no tested upper limit to her abilities. Blink was the teleporter character in Days of Future Past. She was one who was throwing all those portals.
Oh, yeah, that one.
That was Blink. And she's also shown up in the TV show The Gifted.
Okay.
Miniature star, black hole for a brain. Okay. And this is the worst. This is number 6. The brothers Zorn are already a confusing tale, thanks to the machinations of Magneto and their unique powers. Quan Yin Zorn was first introduced during Grant Morrison's iconic X-Men run on New X-Men, a character with an interesting visual design and a mysterious past. Zorn wore a containment helmet because his brain was a miniaturized star.
Okay.
Which means his head emitted a fierce, blinding light that was dangerous to other humans, as well as granting him a degree of gravity-based electromagnetism. Somehow Zorn also had the ability to change his appearance and pose as Magneto, who was claiming to be posing as Zorn to infiltrate the X-Men. So in other words, he poses Magneto to pose as Zorn.
Okay.
Zorn poses Magneto to pose as himself.
That's
he posing as himself thing, by the way, that was a retcon later because the Zorn reveal being Magneto was the biggest, people were like, oh, that's stupid.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm. By the way, here's how powerful. In House of X Powers of 10, there was this fantastic moment. So Hawks and Pox take place during 3 timelines, one of which is the future, and Zorn is in the future. So what this particular mutant does, this is how powerful it is. So they're in the middle of a battle. It looks like they're going to lose. It looks like these particular mutants are going to die against Nimrod, which is basically a super sentinel.
Yeah.
So what someone does is a last-ditch resort is takes off Zorn's helmet and creates a miniaturized black hole.
That's, I mean, I feel like even a mini black hole would start to be very dangerous.
On Earth, mind you.
Yeah.
That's like these scientists that are like, okay, we think if we split an atom on Earth, it might create a black hole. Let's not do that then.
It's like, oh no, the particle accelerator blew up. Barry.
That's the only time a science experiment has ever turned out something cool.
Yeah.
But I'm like, guys, stop trying to screw the Earth because you're so curious about what happens when you split an atom.
Let's try to build a black hole generator on the Earth, Jared.
Oh
no,
yeah, that's a great idea. Ask Vulcan from the Star Trek movies what happens with that one.
Oh boy, dude.
And I mean the J.J. Abrams Star Trek movies, the ones that started off good and then progressively got bad. Well, they didn't get bad. I actually liked the J.J. Abrams Star Trek movies. I'm going to take that back. All right, hang on. I'm trying to. Okay, here it is.
It became mediocre.
So what happens is that there are these mutants called chimeras, and basically what they did is they is Mr. Sinister had collected DNAs from like a bunch of mutants, so people combine them into themselves to give themselves like lots of different powers. So
okay.
The particular, I'm trying to look for the name of the specific mutant. There was a lot of characters I had to keep track of. So what they do is they're pinned down by. So actually, okay, here we go. So okay, Rasputin, who is pretty much a chimera, largely of Ilyana Rasputin, otherwise known as Magic, and Colossus. So she goes, stay back, or I will open his mask. And then the Omega Sentinel, which is basically a human turned into a Sentinel, is like, oh, you and I both know you're not going to do that. And then she does it.
Oh, man.
That's what it looks like. Let me keep this out. Yeah. So that's how powerful Zorn is if you take off his mask.
It's like worse than COVID.
Oh, yeah. Can you imagine? Black holes.
Yeah.
All right. So somehow after this was revealed, Quan Yin's brothers Shen Zorn would be discovered. He was his brother's twin down to his power. So they both have to have that power. Although his brain was instead a miniature black hole. Okay, so that was this guy, Shen Zorn. Shen would possess the same gravity-based electromagnetism powers as his brother, but appeared to retain his mental faculties. Still, these powers proved to be a burden for the brother Zorn. Despite being able to survive without needing to eat or even breathe, and having incredible healing powers, the burden of their respective cosmic bodies in their brains required them to hide behind their helmets for their entire lives and lead a miserable, tortured childhood. Yeah, this sucks.
Why do these people like have horrible lives?
I'm like, yeah, you wonder why the X-Men are so depressed all the time.
Yeah.
This is my favorite right here. Healing factor, baby.
Healing factor. That's awesome.
And so the most famous of which being characters like Wolverine, Deadpool. The healing factor is probably one of the most common mutant powers that exists in the universe of the X-Men. Many mutants are indicated to have an enhanced healing factor as a secondary mutation, as a means of coping with the incredible strain their powers put on their bodies. For the sake of this list, we're talking about the healing factor as more primary power. Naturally, this means we're talking about the healing factor possessed by the most powerful X-Men of them all, Wolverine, as well as his counterparts such as Sabretooth, X-23, and Daken, Wolverine's son. Wolverine's healing factor borders on absurdity. When he first debuted, it was simply an accelerated rate of healing, which ultimately meant he just healed slightly faster from wounds than a normal person. Over the years, though, this has developed into near immortality. During Civil War, Wolverine survived a full-on blast from the supervillain Nuke, reducing him to a skeleton, and he still bounced back. What is more impressive is that the healing factor isn't even at full potential. It was revealed that after he had the adamantium ripped off his bones by Magneto, that the indestructible metal was poisoning his system, keeping his healing factor working overtime and diminishing its effectiveness. Once the adamantium was gone, Wolverine's healing factor went to overdrive, regressing him to a bestial state. So yeah, there was a storyline where Magneto ripped the adamantium out of his body.
Man.
And that's what happens. And then in the movie Logan, the reason why he's dying, have you seen Logan?
No, yeah, but why is he dying in that? I was kind of confused when I heard about
Because the
it.
healing factor, because he was being poisoned by his adamantium skeleton, the healing factor couldn't keep up.
Really? Is that what it is?
That's what it is. I'm not sure if that's. I don't think he was actually dying in the comics, but in the movie, that's what they explained it as.
He should have done what Iron Man did in the second movie, where like the thing that was giving his power was poisoning him, so he just had to invent something.
Yeah, I love that. They're like, Jarvis, congratulations, sir. You have discovered a new element, but it's impossible to synthesize. 5 minutes later, you have synthesized a new element.
Yeah.
The heck? I love how they retconned on a quick tangent that kid in the Iron Man helmet was Spider-Man.
Yeah, I love that. I love that they did that.
That's cool. I'm like, okay, I'll take that. That's cool. It actually puts it in a nice perspective as to why like Peter likes Tony Stark so much.
Yeah.
All right, here's a weird one. Acoustic kinesis. One-time villain Sean Cassidy joined the all-new, all-different X-Men on their ironic rescue mission to Krakoa as the bombastic Banshee. But Krakoa is actually a living island, and it used to be an antagonist of the X-Men.
How did he attack them? Like volcanoes?
No, I mean it was an actual being that just happened to be a living island too.
Oh, like it became like an island or something?
Yeah, hang on. X-Men Krakoa. Let me show you. This is Krakoa. The original Krakoa is right here.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah.
It's like a giant monster.
And in fact, he shows up. This is Krakoa now. So they can actually commune with him when they have their council.
Interesting. So and he likes to hang out and just he's chill being an island.
Yeah, because now apparently the mutants are cool. He's cool with mutants. And it's again, he worked with Cypher to create the Krakoan language. And yes, I did print out the Krakoan language because what I did is in a few of my X-Men books where they have this language on there, I legit translated what was being said.
All right.
It was fun as hell.
He's like an archaeologist, just like uncovering the secrets.
Yeah, I'm like, okay, that's what that means. Now I get it.
Oh,
so Sean Cassidy, Sean Cassidy showed up in X-Men or in X-Men First Class. That was Banshee.
Mm-hmm.
A one-time Interpol agent, the Irishman had the unique ability to manipulate the sound produced by his vocal cords for a number of tasks. He was able to throw his opponents off their guard or even create a concussive force that would crush buildings. So he's Black Canary. Pretty much Black Canary.
Yeah.
He was able to hypnotize opponents, repel attacks by creating a sonic shield, and he could see him pitch black by using his voice as a sonar ping. That's actually really cool. Perhaps the most iconic imagery of this character was when Banshee was using his force to propel himself across airwaves thanks to his special wings provided by the X-Men. To utilize his acoustic kinesis, he had to use a deafening wail, which made him the last person you want to bring on a stealth mission. Yep, that's exactly right. The problem here is that this all requires the use of his voice, and thus Sean earned the Banshee code name. Banshee could only utilize his acoustic kinesis by literally screaming at the top of his lungs, a deafening wail that made him the last person you'd bring on a stealth mission. Yep. Lad, you're muted. Okay. But so all right.
Oh, there we go. Yeah.
Yeah. Using his wail too much could damage his voice and nullify his ability to scream. And he was once rendered powerless after having his throat cut by Mystique. Well, yeah, of course. He's basically a mix of Black Canary and Black Bolt.
That's a good ability.
Probability field manipulation. This was also a joke in Deadpool when Domino showed up. Her power is good luck.
I like the probability field. Yeah, that's kind of fun.
Yep. Hope you survive the experience. A long-running catchphrase for the X-Men uttered sarcastically to every new recruit. That is a hang on. The long-running catchphrase for the X-Men uttered sarcastically to every new recruit shouldn't be taken lightly. The turnover the X-Men is unusually high, with many dying in the line of duty. You need a good stretch of luck to make it as one of the long-tenured X-Men. Unfortunately, such a power exists. Probability field manipulation basically comes down to the ability to increase your odds of something good happening to you. And it's surprisingly common power set among mutants. All right, the ability works through a combination of kinetic and psionic manipulations of the environment, steering their luck towards being in their favor and their opponents against them. It doesn't make anything truly insane happen, but it would make subtle shifts happen in the world. Both X-Force members, Domino and Mojoverse, refugee Longshot, have demonstrated this ability, using it to increase their marksmanship and become lethal fighters in their own respects. The key difference is that Longshot's luck power is more unpredictable and must be triggered, even occasionally backfiring, whereas Domino appears to be a response to her current situation. Regardless, despite the gifts, the two rely primarily on their own skills in combat rather than their luck, using it to enhance their natural combat abilities. That is pretty cool. The ability to have good luck.
That's kind of a pretty OP power.
I do not believe in luck. There was only the Force.
Yeah.
I'm one with the Force, and the Force is with me. Oh, here's a good one, lad. Number 2. One-time self-detonation.
That is the worst power ever. What do you?
This should be number 1. Honestly, I'm curious to see what number 1 is. Bailey Hoskins. How can it be worse? Yeah, exactly. Bailey Hoskins was a nobody. He didn't stand out. He wasn't special, and he didn't matter to anyone. Then one day, Bailey found out he was a mutant. His parents were mutants, and with his mother being able to turn invisible and his father presumably being able to raise his body temperature, Bailey would go to the X-Men to confer with them about his own X gene and discover that he was a human firework. Bailey had the ability to explode on command and control the size and strength of said explosion. Unfortunately, he didn't have a secondary mutation. Bailey got one explosion, and that was it. His powers didn't evolve to allow him to survive the blast and reform his body. So using the power would kill him in the explosion. Bailey would become an X-Men despite this, relying on a suit of power armor to compensate for the fact that he was basically a normal human and trying to find his place among the various teams. Unfortunately, he would be responsible for the downfall of humanity, failing to stop the mutant riches from killing Xavier. Bailey would eventually use his one-time explosion to kill Riches years later, while a reality warping mutant would prevent Xavier's death. Bailey hasn't been seen since and may not actually exist in the modern continuity. This may be not actually, you know what's kind of funny? This is the number 1 worst power.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because you can't get much worse than you kill yourself.
It's literally self-destruct.
Literally, yeah. Now, here's a cool one. Instantaneous adaptation. We saw this in X-Men First Class with Darwin. Life's pretty dangerous, especially if you're hanging around with a bunch of similarly powered mutants. If you wanted to make sure you had the best chance of survival, you want to shoot for something that would keep you alive. Darwin, a mainstay of X Factor following M-Day, might have the power you'd most want to have if you were a mutant. He had the ability to instantaneously adapt to any situation, no matter in a manner that would guarantee his survival, allowing him to power through some of the most treacherous attacks in history. So conceivably, if he went to outer space, he'd be fine. Trapped underwater, you'll grow a pair of gills so you can breathe indefinitely. Can't see because all the lights been extinguished? Now you have night vision. The power also demonstrated a surprising scale. Has also demonstrated a surprising scale, including raising Darwin's intelligence level so he can understand alien languages. Of course, this does come with a few caveats. Much like the healing factor, Darwin is likely immortal or close to it, dooming him to a long life with no means of dying. His powers are also completely reactive and out of his control, resulting in hilarious backfiring on numerous occasions, such as teleporting him to another state when facing a rampaging Hulk. Like, That actually happened. He was facing the Hulk, and his powers to save him teleported him to another state.
Oh man. Yeah, I guess. I mean,
So that's like number one, coolest powers. Okay, so lad, what do you think of the powers on this list, or the other ones you're aware of? What do you think is the coolest mutant power?
I don't know. I think the teleportation one is pretty OP, honestly.
Yeah, you could. Yeah.
That or healing, maybe. I mean, honestly.
Yeah, because healing, I could just walk into a war zone and just solve it.
Yeah.
I think healing or adaptation are pretty dope. What do you think is the worst mutant power? Now I'm gonna put a caveat on this, not counting the self-exploding part.
Okay, not that one
Because obviously
like,
that one wins.
Yeah, that's just like so bad. Maybe I don't know. That bone one sounds kind of bad.
Yeah, I'll agree with that one. I think I'll go with the Bowen. So he was actually the exploding guy. He was actually the star of a comic called The Worst Mutant on Earth, which is an Elseworld story where he blew up Latveria.
Really?
Yeah. I think it was an Elseworld story. But besides that, so okay, so that's the weirdest mutant powers that have existed in the X-Men. Oh boy, are there some weird ones.
Man. Yeah, that's definitely some odd choices to be sure.
Mm-hmm. I have one more list I want to go to, and then we can end it. We are going to do the according to this list, the top 10 greatest X-Men members in the long history of the team. All right. Number 10 is Magneto. Yes, it's with Hickman's run, he is a member of the X-Men.
So he actually joins them officially at one point.
Yeah. So, and he even joined them once when Xavier had to step away from being on the team. But inevitably, he betrays them or something happens that drives him away from the X-Men. That's what I think the trial of Magneto is building toward. It's probably going to build toward AVX 2, and I hope it's as good as the original event, because the original event was amazing, and we will cover that eventually. So yeah, it could be building toward AVX or a Magneto leaving. Storm, we mentioned her powers to control the weather. There's not much new there. Cyclops. He shoots optic beams out of his eyes.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's pretty dope. I think that I'm not sure about this. And if you guys can confirm this for me, drop in the comments or live if you want to look this up. I think his powers come from the fact that his eyes are actually portals to another dimension.
Really?
I think, and that's what the energy is.
Let's see. Right color beams from his eyes. The question is, yeah, okay. I'm not sure actually. Okay, I'd have to see where his power set is. Boy. Man, he's definitely one of the fan favorite X-Men characters in general.
Oh, he's my favorite.
Optic blast. No recoil.
He has been the leader of the X-Men through House of M.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because at some point Professor Xavier disappears, and he leads the X-Men through House of M, through Second Coming, and I believe through AVX.
It looks like there's some stories that say that his powers come from like the sunlight, and then he absorbs them and shoots them out of his eyes. Then there's a 1983 handbook that talks about how Cyborg's eyes contain interdimensional
Cyclops
apertures, releasing powerful energies from another dimension through his eyes.
There you go.
Oh boy.
So he's either Superman or his eyes are windows to another dimension.
Yeah.
Scarlet Witch. Yes, the ability to change reality.
So is she like a fighter, really? Like,
yeah, she is. She was on. Actually, she originally was on the Avengers.
Oh, okay.
Because what happens is that she and Quicksilver, when they debuted, they were members of the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants. They left and joined the Avengers, and then I think they joined the X-Men.
Mm.
And then obviously you had the whole House of M storyline, which I am convinced was the impetus for WandaVision.
Yeah.
100%, because it's too similar to the point where Vision's dead before the story happens, and she brings him back. She basically just like goes crazy because of that. Professor X, yes, he's the leader of everyone. They retcon it.
He's kind of weak, though. Shouldn't be there.
Well, he can control people's minds. Have you seen? It's like he's responsible all those times in the X-Men movies where people just freeze because he can like stop you from moving.
Yeah. No. Yeah, he definitely earns his place as the leader.
Yeah, and he's the one in House of X who they retcon that he had Forge, who has the power to control technology, upgrade Cerebro, and this was in like a past, because I remember when I told you it was like in like 4 different timelines. This was in the past timeline.
Yeah.
They retconned that Forge had Xavier. That Xavier had instructed Forge to modify Cerebro so it would download backups of all the mutants' minds and like their essence, and that's how they can do the mutant resurrection thing. Next, Wolverine. He's the best at what he does, and what he does is not nice. And yes, he is 100% a fantastic character. Yep. He's immortal. He can heal from pretty much anything. In fact, one of the coolest parts of the X-Men Origins Wolverine game, which was better than the movie, is that when you took damage, you would actually see the damage on Wolverine's body. Like there'd be holes, and you could eventually see a skeleton, and then you could see like in really poorly animated, like the skin regrow.
Oh boy.
Really cool.
Does he actually feel pain when he gets damaged, or he just keeps going?
Yeah, I think he does. Monster? I think he does.
Man,
there is a time where if he takes that much damage, he goes into a berserker rage, in which he basically goes feral and will attack anyone. And will be like unstoppable.
That's scary.
Iceman, Omega level mutant.
Yeah,
it's not just ice; it's water. And what is everyone made of?
Water.
How much of the Earth's surface is water?
70-ish%.
Yeah, exactly. That's why.
I can imagine if he actually used his powers to the full extent, he'd be pretty OP.
Wait. That's actually a point Emma Frost makes. She reads his mind. It's like, dude, you're practically a god.
Yeah, like he doesn't actually use his power as much as he should be.
Mm-hmm. All right. He can now control the ambient air temperature around him and cause the fluids inside of his enemy's body to freeze. This means he can kill his enemies from the inside out.
That's scary.
All right. Psylocke. Okay, so that's okay. This is my list. Psylocke is here because she's one of the worst backstories in comics history, and she has one of the most unique power set. She's an immensely powerful telepath. With the help of her telepathy, she can create a psionic blade that's capable of cutting through about anything. She was in X-Men Apocalypse. On top of that, she's a gifted martial artist, the sister of Captain Britain, and an invaluable member of the X-Force. Psylocke is here only because I want to be. Okay, so he's one that, okay. Emma Frost. I agree with this one.
Mm-hmm.
She was an X-Men First Class, and that was depicting her when she was a member of the Hellfire Club, where she was evil.
Yeah.
She eventually turned good and became it became basically the Charles Xavier of the X-Men. And her powers include she can read minds. She's a telepath, and she can turn her skin into an impenetrable diamond.
That's a really like almost 2 powers. That's pretty sick.
Yeah, exactly. To the point where the only thing that could harm her was a celestial.
Okay, yeah. That's
they were fighting a celestial. I kid you not. And the celestial blasted her with energy, and she blocked it. And she didn't notice it at first. but her arm had come off. To the point where so she couldn't stay, she couldn't leave her diamond form, otherwise her powers, otherwise she was gonna bleed out. So when she had to use her telekinetic powers, she had Namor grab her arm and act like a tourniquet so she could decrystal and then blast someone with psychic energy.
Wow.
Okay. Yeah, I love that she's invulnerable to most attacks. Kitty Pryde, Shadowcat. Yes, that is correct. She is one of the. She's one of the most interesting. By the way, so did you at least see the trailer for New Mutants, lad?
I think I saw it. Yeah.
You remember seeing a tiny dragon?
Yeah, I think you mentioned that too.
That is actually not Magic's dragon. They changed that for the movies. That is Kitty Pryde. It's actually an alien who just hangs around because he likes her.
Oh, all right.
Yeah, and like I said earlier when we were talking about the coolest mutant abilities, she can phase through anything. Which also means she can literally take your heart out.
That's intense.
And she did that in a What If book.
That's kind of what Flash and Reverse Flash can kind of do that too, where they literally still like.
Except she actually does not have to vibrate.
That's true. That's true. That's scary.
To fight an enemy, she could just take them, lower them into the ground, and then leave them, and then they're dead.
Yeah.
Because essentially their molecules rematerialize inside something and they die. So if you materialize in a wall, you're dead.
That's
in fact, actually that happened. That they make a reference to that because she's trying to phase that her and Emma Frost through a wall, and Emma Frost is like, "Well, that was the most unseemly experience I've ever gone through." And then Shadowcat Kitty Pryde is like, "If you keep squirming, you're gonna end up being left inside a wall. That's not the funnest death."
Yeah. Yikes.
Anyway, she is also the girlfriend of Colossus.
Oh, really? Or at least for the time being.
I think they're still dating. There's this hilarious scene where she and Colossus are let me see. They're mating, if you will. And she falls through the floor by accident. So she has to run back upstairs. It's hilarious. It's like all of a sudden the panel is you see it's two mutants on the couch playing Xbox, and then behind her,
man,
she grabs a sheet and just runs back upstairs.
Oh boy.
So yeah, that's the coolest X-Men. There are a few of those I agreed with, a few of those I didn't. Like, I don't think Kitty Pryde's the number one coolest. I would say like maybe Wolverine. Or maybe like Archangel, who they kind of showed in the movie because he was the dude with angel wings. But what actually is interesting is that he has another like form where he has like the razor wings. The angel character in X-Men Apocalypse was his Archangel form.
When he gets souped up and stuff?
When he gets souped up, yeah. So in other words, when we first see him and he's in the cage, he's Angel. And then when Apocalypse upgrades him, he becomes Archangel.
I see.
So I'm surprised we didn't see a lot of anthropomorphism in the powers list, because you have like Beast.
Yeah, he got sidelined, unfortunately.
Barring the fact that you look like an actual animal, Beast actually has a pretty dope power. He can hang from a ceiling.
Yeah.
And he's got like strength. And he's actually really cool. And he also happens to have the intelligence. So there you go.
Yeah.
All right, so lad, who do you think is the greatest X-Men?
Greatest X-Men? I don't know. Like, I don't know. I feel like Magneto could be like, and if I want to say like strongest X-Men, I'd say Magneto, honestly. I
agree with that.
I feel like he has his powers are like really OP, but he might be the only one who's willing to use them, even though it would have disastrous consequences. You know, other people would not use their power to the full extent that they could.
Yeah, if we're talking most powerful, it's either Magneto or, in my mind, Jean Grey when she's the Phoenix.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah.
I'm not sure if that counts as X-Man because she kind of became an antagonist, but I'm going with it.
Mhm.
If I have to pick best, who's the best X-Men? Oh, geez. Probably, I would have to say probably, again, a three-way tie between my three favorite mutants: Cyclops, Emma Frost, and Wolverine. Because
Yeah.
Wolverine, because you have the anti-hero past, he's willing to kill, and he also like grew up without like showed up with no memory of who he is, and basically grew into this family.
Yeah.
Cyclops and Emma Frost, because they both have led the X-Men through like the most crappy times to be a mutant, like House of M,
Yeah.
and like Second Coming, when they were so what I wanted to mention when we're talking about teleporters. So it's actually interesting in Second Coming, and we'll talk about when we cover the storyline. So there's this organization that's trying to take down all the mutants because there's only like 198 or so of them left, and they all live on the Utopian Island in San Francisco. So what these people do is they kill all the teleporters, so they can't escape.
That's intense. Yeah.
Like they kill Nightcrawler in that storyline.
Oh, rip Nightcrawler. He's scary.
Yeah, it's really interesting. And in case you're wondering, it's the Second Coming is the storyline where Hope Summers comes back. Actually, I'm gonna say the strongest Hope Summers.
Hope Summers.
She can imitate other mutants' powers, and she can amplify other mutants' powers.
Yeah.
Like there's a scene where she's being blasted by a sentinel. She manifests Armor's ability, which basically covers her and basically an energy shield. And then she freaking unleashes optic blasts.
Yeah.
Yeah, she is a beast. In terms of coolest mutant, one of the coolest ones I would say would be Cable. Although I'm not sure what his mutant power is. Is it just because Cable's mutant power?
Just like
I think it's
bravado.
Is a mutant whose physical abilities have been enhanced to superhuman levels. His principal mutant powers are his vast telepathic and telekinetic abilities. He can employ his telekinetic to levitate objects and create protective force fields. So in Deadpool 2, where he throws up the force field, that's actually his power.
Oh, okay. So I didn't know he actually had powers.
And he's Cyclops' son.
Yeah.
He's Cyclops, and I think
Wait,
Jean
really?
Grey's kid. Yeah.
From the future?
Yeah, from the future. He comes back, and it's and then Hope is his daughter.
Hope Summers?
Yeah, I think it's his daughter. Yeah, it's his. I was gonna go off of that. Okay, hang on. Hope Summers. Let me look. I'm just verifying now, real quick, so I don't want to have a bunch of hate mail in my comments.
Yeah.
And Hope is one of the mutants that helps with the resurrection because she enhances all the other mutants' powers, so it'll work.
I see.
Let me see. She also became the White Phoenix, by the way. All right, let me see. Hope is the first. She's also the first mutant born since House of M.
Mm-hmm.
Let me see. I'm trying to find the. Let me see. Who is Hope Summers? Hope Summers' father. Hope Summers, she considers Cable as his father. Hope is raised under the name of her adopted father and mentor, Cable. Okay, so she's not Cable's kid.
Oh, okay. Kind of raised by him.
Exactly.
Hmm.
But okay, so I'm trying to see, is she directly related? Robert Wiki, her mother's her father's unknown, so I guess she just adopted Summers to like to be like with Cable, I guess.
I see.
Yeah, because I remember she considers herself Cable's kid because in Second Coming she refers to him as, because what happens is that she's a baby when she's born, and then to escape Bishop, who's the mutant's other like time traveling guy.
Yeah.
Cable takes her into the future and raises her.
Oh, okay, and takes care of her in the future.
Yeah, exactly. And then she became the White Phoenix. So the end result of AVX is that she becomes the Phoenix.
Mm.
So yeah, so that's who Hope Summers is. But yeah, she amplifies other mutants' powers.
I wonder, like, it'd be really cool to cover like some of the best like team up powers, like when two mutants have combined their powers and done something even cooler together, you know, like a combo move.
Yeah, that'd be cool. I like that. I would say that would probably be the winner is Colossus and Wolverine because the fastball special where Colossus just throws Wolverine.
Yeah, that's pretty good too.
That is so good. Okay, I'm trying to find a part in the Marvel wiki of her powers. Okay, here's something interesting. Her irises are in the shape of the Phoenix.
Yeah.
Like her eyes are in the shape of the Phoenix.
Is that not normal? I don't think.
Nope.
That is not normal.
Yeah, I'm just trying to get her powers. Powers and abilities. Hope's true ability is to control the special powers of other mutants in a myriad of ways. In a myriad of ways, ranging towards psychically duplicating the power signature of mutants near her, enabling the use of that mimic power in her most powerful form. Although she usually requires close proximity to the subject, she does not need to physically touch them as with Rogue. Nor does it appear as though her using a subject's power deletes her own power. So in other words, she can actually like store these powers. So in other words, she could like walk down the street. Okay, I'm gonna use optic beams now. Armor, wings.
Armor, yeah.
Yeah. So that's that. So I think that's a good place to end it up because I have kind of a sore throat right now. But yeah, it's a really good suggestion for an episode, lad. This was really fun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, this was fun. Yeah, I'm glad we cover some of like, you know, the craziest and wildest ones like self-destruction and Vomit Man.
Vomit Man.
Yeah.
His real name was Zeitgeist, but yeah, Vomit Man sounds better. Or how about this? Gold Balls.
Oh boy, yeah.
His power is he just has the power to produce golden balls. You thought they were balls, except they're actually eggs.
Eggs.
So he's a member of the Five who help revive mutants.
Wow.
That's why when the mutants come back to life in the Hickman era of X-Men, they literally hatch from eggs.
That's interesting.
Because what happens is that he produces the eggs, the mutants insert via syringe the DNA of the mutant of the particular mutant they want to revive from Sinister, and then the mutant I forget his name. He's the son of Moira McTaggart. I think. Hang on, I'm gonna get House of X real quick. I'm pulling this up because this is really important that I get this right. All right, and all right. So it's okay. So here we go. It's Kevin McTaggart, call sign Proteus, who he warps reality. So he transforms the unviable egg from gold balls into a viable one. It's then treated by Joshua Foley, call sign Elixir, who's a mutant capable of biologically kick-starting the process of life. So in other words, he gets the whole fetal development started.
Okay.
And then Eva Bell, whose call sign is Tempest, she is capable of speeding up the rate of development. And then Hope Summers is a mutant capable of enhancing and synergizing the other resurrection mutants' powers so that it all works. So in other words, she like amplifies their powers so they have the ability to bring these people back to life. And then they're just a husk, which is then infused via Cerebro with the memories and the life essence of the particular mutant they want to revive. So that's how they can have like the resurrection of like a lot of mutants that died, because in Hickman's run when it began, you started seeing a bunch of X-Men that were dead, and everyone's like, the heck, I thought you were dead. And then
they
it's
didn't
revealed.
explain it first?
They didn't explain it at first until we got to the parts where like the X-Men went on a bad mission and everyone died. To quote Patrick, everybody died. The end. And then and then they retcon in that the X-Men have always been resurrecting people.
I see.
All right. So that's where we're going to end this topic off. It was a great episode. And in terms of next week's episode, we're still working on what topic we might cover. Chances are we'll be doing a Second Coming, because that story is amazing. And be on the lookout for our Friday for our weekend episode of Under 2K. Whenever we do it, most likely it's gonna be Friday. It'll probably end up being Friday, but if it's not, it's Saturday. And then we'll have our Bad Batch up latest Monday. We could end up doing it earlier. Now, just a quick bit of housekeeping I decided. So we're starting school in about a month or so. So obviously when that happens, I can't do like daily uploads, but I actually can, because what I'm going to do is that Lad and I will find a day when we have the most free time after school and homework. We'll record like all 3 episodes of our shows. And then I can set on YouTube. I'll upload them to YouTube and set them to actually be allowed for viewing on those specific days. So you'll still get all the daily content.
Sweet. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like I want to be able to keep this up, but I was concerned because I can't like record videos every day. I was like, oh, okay. And then Lad, another great suggestion by my co-host, that's why you're the co-host, he legit said, just stagger them and have them come up on those days. And I was like, that's a lot better than that, because what I was going to do is just make like 1 week we'll do Under 2K, 1 week we'll do X-Men, 1 week we'll do Bad Batch. But then I was like, that's stupid. I can have all 3 shows. YouTube allows me to do this.
Yeah. And the only other option was my plan B, which was to build a time machine and then to,
use the time
upload on certain days. Yeah, upload on certain days and stuff like that. But that, I think, the other plan is better.
Or use Tempest of the 5 who resurrects mutants to screw them in time. But yeah, so we're gonna be doing that. We're actually working on the website for the Comics League Network, which is gonna have like links to all of our shows. You can like contact us if you want to hop on the show or anything like that. Or if you just want to write us fan mail, you can do that, and we will put that. We'll read it live on the show. We're still getting that organized. We're going to be working on a lot of our marketing photos. Like we're finally gonna update the channel logo and the podcast logo, and then the cover for the banner photo. There should be plenty of like stock, royalty-free pictures of comic books that we can use, because so many people have made them and put them on like Shutterstock and stuff. So I'll look around and we'll find some cool stuff. Anyway, in other words, we have a lot of cool stuff happening on the podcast. All right, everyone, have a good rest of your week. Class is out of session.